Daddy, we're doing.
I'm doing a podcast, Dizzy. Hello and welcome to the Too Cool for School podcast. I'm your host Yannick, and on today's episode we are discussing employment and careers beyond the UK. And I've got a special guest with me today, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hello people, my name is Michael. I'm business intelligence analyst and former degree apprentice.
Okay, great stuff. Business intelligent and what is that?
It's a bit much. First things first, I'd say it's a bit of everything really. It's analysing operational costs, competitor intelligence. So essentially, what's the opposition doing? How can we strategize, save money, make more money?
In what field? Like in tech?
In technology.
In tech,
Yeah,
okay.
I've been in a technology company for about 5-6 years now. So that's all I know really, yeah.
Okay, great stuff. So I know last year you travelled.
Yeah.
Went to Japan.
Yeah, first stop.
And I just loved the content. I just loved the content that you were sharing when you were out there, you know, learning the language, the culture, the food, and you took us, you know, on that journey with you. And I know that, you know, within our friendship group and, you know, some of my other friendship groups, like I was just looking at that journey and saying, wow, like we missed out, man. Like we didn't have either the opportunity to do that, or we weren't really intentional with, you know, pursuing, you know, those opportunities. But it was just amazing to see you on that journey. Like looking back, what was that experience like for you?
Oof, that's a that's a good question. I feel like at first I would say it was a big part of my journey. I would say it's pivotal. Because I've always wanted to go out and travel. So to be able to work and travel abroad in one of my favourite locations, Japan, which has been a childhood dream, it meant a lot. However, I think from the content I posted, I probably posted the nicer sides where I was learning and like, you know, really trying to step out of my comfort zone. However, it was very challenging also. Just because, you know, there's a bit of challenge when you're coming from a very niche background and you're in these countries by yourself, only for work, with not much of a network. But I'd say it was really, it was immense to my journey. I really enjoyed it. If I'm honest, I still want to go out there. I still want to live out there long term at some point. It meant a lot, and it was a hell of a journey. It was a big journey. Yeah,
that's amazing. And you speak about, you mentioned earlier about challenges. What's one of the biggest challenge you experienced whilst out in Japan?
I would say being a foreigner in general, because I would say there's a big imposter syndrome feeling when you're out in Japan and you don't really blend in with your surroundings or the people you're around. So I feel like there was some challenges with learning the language and people laughing at you when you're exercising the fact that you've learned this language. They can't speak English. You're speaking Japanese and they're just sort of laughing, or they're calling you the first person that they can think of that's like, for example, I remember being called like 50 Cent, which was funny at first, but then it also got a bit challenging towards the end of the trip when I realised, actually, they're just calling me any NBA player they could think of. I'm Michael. I've come here by myself with no support, no network. All I've got is the company. I'd like to identify myself and, you know, make my mark sort of thing. So, yeah, I would say that was a bit challenging.
And having experienced that challenge, whether you go back to Japan or, you know, another country in the future, how do you think you're going to adapt?
I think at first there was a lot of resistance with it. I was quite angry and confused, whereas I feel like next time I go, I would be on the more positive or optimistic end in terms of educating and understanding, you know what, maybe they're just not aware of people like me, you know. People want to touch my hair, they compliment it at first, it's curly, it's coily, it's really cool. Then they want to put fingers in it. And instead of getting angry, it's just, you know, put that distance in place and just sort of say, you know what, I don't really like this. Because it's quite easy when you're in a very unfamiliar surrounding to sort of just conform and just do as they say or do as they want. But sort of put your foot down and educate a bit more, be a bit more optimistic, because, at first I would say I was a bit confused and angry at times. But it is what it is, you know.
And what would you say was the biggest fear in terms of moving when you was moving out there? What was the thing that was like, oh, you know what, like I'm a bit shook to do to do this?
I would say my biggest fear wasn't the fact that I'm in a foreign country, in a foreign land that I've never been to before. I think it's the lack of my network. I feel like it takes a village, not just to raise a kid, but to sort of like sustain that kid. And not saying I'm a kid or anything, but going out there knowing that I had nobody to call on or, I don't know, go to their house and chill on Saturday sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was really scared about that because I knew that I was going to make my mark and work really hard Monday to Friday. But at Saturday and Sunday, I'm by myself sort of thing. So, you know, going to these tourist attractions is cool until it's sort of like I'm by myself taking a picture. That's nice. And then walking off because there's no one to spend that time with and laugh with and soak up the moment with. So I'll say that was my biggest fear. Lots of things on a bucket list and a to-do list, but not a lot of people to celebrate that with. Hence why I had to post and make that journey public.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that's something that sometimes we take granted of, like, you know, outside of our 9 to 5, outside of our work commitments, our families, you know, our social networks, you know, those are the things that sort of maintain our well-being, and it's sort of the things that keep us going so that when we're going into work the next day, at least we know we've had like a good evening with, you know, our people them, or we've got something that we're looking forward to on the weekend.
I agree. I feel like it puts a pep in your step sort of thing, knowing that you had a good weekend, you can relate to people, be totally vulnerable and not put up the ambitious front of I'm going to get everything done. Yeah. But instead of, you know, turn offline and not use the frontal lobe and just feel like, you know, you're accepted no matter what. I think that was my biggest fear, to be honest. Yeah. Knowing that I was going to be alone out there. But at the same time, that was the biggest motivation because getting that under my belt and overcoming that challenge.
No, that's positive.
It's massive. So.
And when was the moment when you were in Japan that you realised, this ain't London no more? Like when did you realise, like, we're not in London no more?
I'm not in London anymore. That's a good question. I would say, I think there was one video that I posted on TikTok that went a bit viral where I sort of missed the feeling, or should I say the taste of home. And I just felt like, you know what, I would love to have some African food right now, you know what I mean? Whereas when you're in London, there's loads of African spots just dotted all around the map sort of thing. When I was in Japan, I realised that you have to search really hard to find your people or your cuisines or your network, your tribe. Yeah. So there was a time where I was really craving, I think it was like, I don't know, anything Nigerian. I would settle for jollof rice, to be honest. Yeah. I'm Nigerian, by the way. So I think I settled with pounded yam and some sort of soup. And when I got in there, I realised that this woman wasn't actually Nigerian. I think she was either Congolese or Sierra Leonean, but she was cooking every sort of African dish in her restaurant because she was, essentially, her headline claim was only African restaurant in Tokyo.
Okay.
That's when I realised I'm not in London, because if I was in London, I'll just go Orchard Road. You
got your specialities.
Exactly. It's very easy. Whereas if I wanted a black barber, for example, his headline claim, only black barber in Tokyo. He's quoting the fact that he's cut Rich the Kid, Sway Lee and all of these things. Whereas in the UK, you know, there's Ludacris on every barbershop.
Like, for sure.
It's just readily available on your doorstep. So, yeah.
And do you know what? That would be my killer, you know, the food.
The food. Yeah, I can imagine.
The food, that would be... I don't know how I would do that, man.
If you was going to Japan and you was going on holiday, I think you would love the food. Having the Wagyu steaks, the onigiris, the sushis. But after living there for like 2 months, when I got to the 2 month mark, I was just a bit like, okay, where's the aromat? Where's where's the Maggi sort of thing? And that's when you start realizing, yes, I'm not on holiday, I'm trying to localize. However, localizing also means bringing your village and your side of the world with you. I just didn't have that in Japan. So I feel like, when I started missing home, I wanted to feel home, like getting a haircut or cuisines. Yeah. It was just so difficult. You had to keep searching, and these people are very unique. Yeah.
And what was the biggest culture, when you think about like Japan culture, like what was the biggest culture shock that sort of nobody warned you about that you weren't expecting?
Word. Now that's a question I do love. I feel like Japan's done really well in terms of in the media. They're really good at making it a very good looking tourist attraction. So when I went out there, like I said, the bucket list was massive. I want to go to Fast and Furious, I want to do this, that, the third. I went to loads of places, but nobody tells you about the working culture in Japan. In the UK, I used to think people work really hard doing 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Yeah. In Japan, people do 9 to 7s, 9 to 8s every day normally. Like
Wow.
they don't wait until essentially wait until their boss leaves the floor and exits the building, and these salary men will literally work tirelessly to the point where they literally missed the last train home. And I feel like I'm seeing the media now that salary men are being overworked, but I didn't know that before going out there. So I'd go out
Wow.
there and you'll see these guys in suits and ties at 9 p.m. just sleeping on the floor, either drunk or tired, or both. And the working culture is almost toxic in Japan, I'd say, because people don't work for just impact like we do in Europe. They also work for the optics. And optics is a big thing in Japan where people just stay in the office. They'll do 12-hour shifts every single day. Compared to when I was living in Amsterdam, it hits 4:30, everybody's planning they're getting out. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
People would sleep on the floor, in the train stations. People would be in suit and tie in the clubs and the bars that I'm drinking in, and they're going into work just like that the next day. Some people don't even get to go home because in Tokyo, I think the rent is quite expensive and these people rather live an hour out where they can get better value for money. However, that journey is far too long after a long day of impressing your boss.
Seriously?
Yeah, like they would stay in the office till 9 p.m. Then they'll miss their train. They'll just go out drinking, sleep on the floor. 9 a.m. they're in the office, same clothes.
Did you felt compelled to do that, or were you like, listen,
Whoa.
ban you, man? Like,
I'm out of it.
yeah,
I feel like at first I felt compelled to do that because, like I said, Japan was a dream location which just had everything I could dream of. So I wanted to impress. I wanted to make my mark and sort of become Japanese and localize. Hence why I started learning the language beforehand. But then I quickly realized, you know what? I'm a foreigner here and I'm not held to the same standards. So I'll say up to the halfway mark, the 2-month mark, I was working my ass off and really like staying in the office, creating impact. But then I learned there's a balance. I got to move on to the next location soon. And they're not holding me to the highest of standards like they do.
yeah,
So yeah, I'd say I balanced pretty well. I used to do 9 to 6s,
yeah.
really. But when I first started, 9 to 7s, I was working.
Seriously?
I wanted to be recognized, you know, like we had the MD of the office. He would literally walk past me on a Friday night and be like, Michael, what are you doing on your desk? Like, you're meant to be out here having fun. But I'm sort of like conflicted because I want to impress you, bro.
Yeah,
Like, I can't
good one.
yeah, good one. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I do want to be out and enjoying in Shibuya, but I also want to make my mark and have a reason to come back.
Yeah,
So-
of course.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I think second half, I realised, you know what, I got to cycle through. This isn't the only location. This is just the first stop.
And you been there for how long you was out there? Was it like a placement, or how does it,
How
what
did
was
it
the
work?
operations or logistics of it, of you being out there?
So essentially, for my contract, when I graduated, it was called an international assignment year.
Yeah.
Or a mission year. Essentially what that means is you have the opportunity to go global into the different headquarters that we have around the world, and then you can stay out there for 12 months. Depending on your impact or your conditions, let's say you can speak fluent Chinese, you might be able to stay out there and get a permanent contract. So I was given a 12-month contract and told, here are our headquarters, and Japan was first thing, so that was first stop. I was preparing the whole end of the 2024 year, essentially just learning the language, spending time with a teacher and going out there. But that wasn't my only stop. I also wanted to experience like a Euro summer in the Netherlands. I wanted to see China. Korea was on the list. There were so many other ones, but I knew what I wanted. So I said, you know what, if I got 12 months, I'm going to split this well. 4 months in Japan, 5 months in the Netherlands, 3 months in China, Shanghai, and get a good feel for different parts of Asia. However, Europe is still
amazing.
there. You know what I mean? I can still come back in summer and experience with my family and friends. So
And do you still speak Japanese? What is it, Japanese that they speak out there? What is it?
yeah, they speak Japanese in Japan,
Yeah.
but like I don't think anybody knows. But there's 3 alphabets in Japanese. You know, before learning Japanese, I thought it was one language, one alphabet like English.
Yeah,
Get out there. There's hiragana, katakana, and there's another one. There's 3 different alphabets.
yeah, that's
So-
mad.
Even people in Japan and kanji, and people that in Japan that learn Japanese and speak it, they also struggle with kanji because kanji is essentially a Chinese dialect that's been transferred into Japan. So it's quite difficult. I can speak it, but reading it, it's quite difficult.
Do you still understand it, and have you still been practicing, or is it sort of foot off the gas now?
I still understand a little bit. Haven't been practicing as much, but it's something I still want to keep up. I've still got my notes, still got my books. I've got my teacher's number if I ever want to pay her a visit or, you know, do a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Something I want to keep up. However, as you know, with the pace of the UK, moving back here and relocating, I've been quite busy and consumed with finding a house and settling down and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So when
Wanna
you
keep up.
and not just for Japan, but across the board, when you're thinking about Japan, China, like Netherlands. Like, was there any habits from London that when you was out there, you was like, oh, Mike, man, you need to stop. Like,
You need to let
you're
this
not in
go.
the ends no more. Like, you need to stop.
Oh, if I'm being totally vulnerable, yeah, I think Japan is definitely a hotspot for tourists and it's definitely on the top of everyone's bucket list. So when I got out there, I still had this London mindset of, is this person a threat? You know, there's a certain thing in London where there's a stare where it's like a nod of approval and, you know, salute.
Yeah.
Then there's another one where it's like, what are you doing? I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Not even getting into it, but
Yeah.
I think I had this mindset of, I was in a club one time and I met some guys from Atlanta, but before seeing them, I was like, I was a bit confused. And, you know, that's how a London mindset is I guess. I feel like when you see people, you're either threatened or you just want to know more.
Fight or flight, like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Like, what are you doing
Like,
over there?
you're up. Like,
Yeah,
what's going on here? I thought I was the
Whereas-
only black guy.
Yeah, but then you meet these guys from Atlanta, they're chill, they're lovely. We had a good time. They were showing me all the different spots in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing from London that I feel like, yeah, that mindset had to shift. Like, no one's a threat. Remove the whole, should I say, it's a bit cliche, but like hood mindset of, you know what, I'm just going to be bad to myself, not say a word, just fly by. You know what, you want to make your mark in Japan, so.
I don't think that's is that a hood mindset? Do you know what?
Ooh, maybe
Me-
not hood.
But then it depends, because I personally don't feel comfortable like traveling solo.
Yeah.
And like
Really, you gotta try it.
even for a week.
No, it's good. You really got to try
Even
it.
for a week,
You learn so much about yourself.
Even local, I know
Behind closed doors,
so
you're
much about myself that I wouldn't go. Like, that's how much I know about myself. Like, I
love
just
that.
wouldn't. You know what I'm trying to say?
I love that.
I just
You know
wouldn't do
yourself.
it.
I
So,
love that.
so even like when you put in the WhatsApp group, like that you was going to Japan,
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Yeah, pick you up to the."
Yeah, go.
After I got on the phone to like
Tony, yeah.
Beezy, I'm like, "Yo, Matt really going to Japan?
Yeah, like
by himself?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yo,
literally.
this is
difficult.
This is crazy."
It's difficult, and that's the thing. I think when I put it in the group chat, actually, I was a bit conflicted. You know, and it's like I'm sitting on a blessing that I don't want to like, you know, pass up on.
Yeah.
However, this might not be for me. So I put in the group chat as if my heart was set when really I needed that push.
Yeah.
Because like you said, traveling alone is difficult, especially when you're so far that your Find My iPhone can't even fit in the same frame as your family. Like, I'm so far gone. I'm 14-hour flight away, direct if you're lucky. So I was very conflicted. It's quite difficult, man. Yeah, solo traveling isn't easy, but you get to learn a lot about yourself behind closed doors, like your habits, what makes you tick, what makes you get up in the mornings. Because you're going to have difficult mornings where you don't want to get up, you don't want to go into the office. You're a bit tired from the imposter syndrome. You low-key just want to go back to bed or go back to the UK. So,
And from those experiences, like, what do you think like you learned about yourself?
ooh, good question. I think something that I learned about myself is that I'm quite community-driven or community-based in terms of I thought I could sort of thrive and not just survive by myself. However, when I was out in Japan, I realized, geez, I haven't, quite literally, I haven't touched a human being in about 3 months until my brother came for my birthday, because when I see my manager, I handshake if I'm lucky. I'm not hugging anybody or dapping up any of the man them or saying hey to my friends and giving them a hug. I think that was a big shock, like not having anybody close to me to celebrate these moments with. There was a lot of FaceTimes where I'm 8 hours ahead and it was very different. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a struggle for me, to be fair. Yeah.
And what's some of the things that you were seeing abroad in like Japan, China, or the Netherlands that sort of normalized out there, and you were thinking, yeah, like this couldn't run in London.
Oh my word, yes. Something that was crazy for me, when I was living in China, that was my last stint. Literally, I came back end of January this year. I was literally eating in restaurants, localizing and paying for these beef noodles that were like £2, £1. And I used to love eating locally. Like, I would discover a new restaurant and go into them. But in China, in comparison to Japan, people used to smoke cigarettes in restaurants and ash them out on the plates that they just ate on. Like, I feel like with Japan, there was a sort of timid/dialed back aspect to how they were viewed, like I said, optics. Whereas in China, I think people are very upfront and blunt and straight to the point.
Oh, is it?
To the point where I feel like people were just coughing, phlegming, spitting all over the streets. just smoking anywhere. Whereas in Japan, there's literally containers and designated smoking areas where people had to smoke, and you'd literally get arrested to smoke on the street. In China, people would smoke cigarettes in the restaurant. I'm tasting noodles, I'm tasting nicotine and tobacco. And I'm like, what's going on? I turn around. These guys are just smoking. And I'm looking at them crazy, but then they're looking at me crazy and laughing because obviously that's normal for them. And they're sort of thinking, why is this black guy staring at us right now? I bet he doesn't understand what we're saying. But I'm catching little words and they're just literally laughing at me like, yeah, what's wrong with smoking? Do you know what I mean? But in China, people smoke anywhere, they spit anywhere. And I just couldn't get used to it because I used to live in Japan and the Netherlands and the UK where there is some sort of care for what people think of you and the optics. But China, people are very blunt, up to the, straight to the point, cutting to the chase, no sugarcoating. And it's even in their local language. Like, there's certain ways of speaking. Like, let's say, for example, you said, how are you? Or hello. That's how we would say it in the UK, whereas in China, it's literally like, ni hao, you good. And then people say, ni hao back, you good. No one's saying, yes, I'm okay. They say, ni hao, ni hao. Like, no one's answering the question. They're not actually asking, are you good? And that's just how they are. I think they're just,
Yeah, there's little nuances.
You either love or hate it, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. And would you say, like, these experiences abroad have made you, have they made you, like, more ambitious? Have they made you, like, more relaxed? Like, what's the vibes?
That's a very good question. That's a good question. I'll say a bit of both because when you get out there, you realise how there's just a very, very, very blatant, like, how should I say, inequality in terms of pricing and, like, I don't know, people's ambitions. For example, when you get out to Japan and China, you realise things are cheap and you get ambitious and thinking, can I build a link in certain ways or can I build a business out here? Can I buy an apartment? But at the same time, also humbled because I realised that it's only a flight away. You know, these things sound a bit crazy to most people, should I say. Whereas I went out there on a flight and direct and then that's all it took. So I'd say it made me ambitious in terms of building a business and building links. I think I have a very good network in every country that I've been to. And I definitely want to build something and maybe stay out there longer, like a few years in each instead of a few months. But at the same time, I'm very blessed to have had that opportunity and lived there. And I'm quite chilled as well. Yeah. Like knowing that I've done that, it's okay to just sort of reflect on it, think of what's next and strategize rather than rush into something. So I'll say a bit of both because, I speak to everybody that I make connections with. I know I can, go back and visit them. Yeah, I've made a lot of international links, but at the same time, I also appreciate the UK in certain aspects,
Yeah. So, international man, you don't know.
What can I say, man? Go out and see the world, man.
And do you feel like those experiences like expose you to like strengths that you didn't know that you had? Like, were there any moments you're like, raw, I didn't think I'll be able to like do this, and you were able to do it?
I would say I think the language was the big one, if I'm honest, because like learning 3 different languages and living in 3 different locations in 2025 was massive. I would say that was probably my biggest barrier to going out there, knowing the fact that English isn't readily spoken everywhere. Do you know what I mean? So knowing that I could speak a little bit.
Did you need to, or did you want to?
No, you kind of had to, because in the Netherlands, I didn't learn any Dutch. I bought the books and just pushed it to the side. Yeah. Whereas in Japan and China, you get to these rural areas that aren't the tier 1 metropolitan cities like Shanghai, Tokyo. Like, for example, I went to like Yunnan, Kunming. These guys out there literally didn't speak a lick of English. Like, I was genuinely having a conversation just like this, but having to recite every word that I knew just so he can get or grasp some sort of idea that I'm trying to display to him. So I'd say the language barrier, man. I went out to Shanghai, which is on the southeast coast. Ended up traveling 14 hours on a bullet train to like Kunming, Dali, all in the West, Yunnan. And when I was out there, I was with these grandmas and these aunties that couldn't speak a lick of English. They would want to take pictures of me and stuff like that. Yeah. Learning the language was a massive barrier, and just being able to not say that I'm fluent in it, but to get by and actually, come out alive and actually get everything that I wanted. I would say that was one of my biggest achievements, to be fair, because I think learning the language is cool, but having to exercise that every single day. Yeah. Oh, it gets tiring. It's tough.
And like I know earlier when you were speaking about like not having the community there, and that's something that I know a lot of people, when they're making decisions about moving away from London, whether it's moving somewhere further in the UK, whether it's
Yeah.
moving to somewhere in Europe or whatever else, like the social network, the family is like a big thing that they consider.
Yeah.
How was it for you, like trying to make friends as an adult, like from scratch? Like what did that look like? Do you just go to hello,
Yeah,
like,
it's not easy, you know.
you
I'll
know,
be honest,
hello, I'm
because-
Mike. Like,
Yeah, no, it's quite difficult because obviously I haven't lived in London for like 6 years, so I thought making friends in the UK was difficult. But abroad, everything is quite transactional in terms of when you approach somebody and say, like, "Excuse me, can you help me with something?" and then, you know, crack a joke or something, they're gonna help you with that thing and then walk off. I think it's sort of having something to share. Like I think somebody asked me this recently. Yeah, shared interests in terms of, like, for example, I met this guy on the Western Mountains in Kunming, and we had nothing to speak about. However, he told me that he had been to Singapore and Bali. I was like, I've lived in Singapore. I went to Bali on holiday, sort of thing, and we could share our memories and like talk about the different places we went to. And then, like I said, sharing experiences. For example, I was by myself in the mountains. He was with his friends. They were taking pictures. I said, let me take a picture for you.
yeah,
Smart thing, because now I got to get your WeChat account.
yeah,
And now I can message you, sort of thing, watch your social media,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think shared interest is really important, but it's quite difficult because there's loads of people that you want to meet and build a network with. But at the end of the day, they're just going to sort of say, what's up,
yeah.
help you with your thing, and then move on and keep it pushing because you're a foreigner. They don't think you're going to stay here long. You have to communicate the fact that, actually, I'm a local. Here's my ID. I'm going to be here for a few months. What are you doing next Saturday? And just hopefully they can see to next Saturday and actually be a man of their word. But definitely difficult because even in the UK, like moving out of London, making friends is quite difficult. You don't have much time to spend. You know, when you was younger in these institutions in school, you have that thing in common, which is you're going to be here 8:30 every single day. Whereas at work, people have families and responsibilities to get home to. And then when you're traveling and doing these things for leisure, people are only here for a few hours, take their pictures for Instagram and then moving on.
Yeah.
So like I said, yeah, sharing interests, sharing experiences and memories, that definitely sticks. Like I made a friend in just China, like I said, on the mountains, in Beijing on the Great Wall. And all of these people are from far and wide, and I don't know if I'll see them again. But off that interaction and being memorable and sharing an interest or a memory, they'll remember that, oh, actually, we had something in common. There's something to reunite on or speak on. If there's nothing in common, there's nothing to speak about. And it's a bit sad. It's a sad reality of being an adult, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody is about business and family, no in between. But
Yeah.
once you have, I play football on Saturdays as well in Tokyo. Oh, can I come?
Yeah.
Simple, do you know what I mean? There's a reason to speak and reconvene.
Nah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Do you think like sixth forms, universities, etc., should encourage more students to consider like careers and opportunities abroad?
Yes, definitely. I feel like on top of careers and opportunities abroad, just careers and opportunities outside of the traditional educational system and these institutions, because not everybody's the same. I feel like not everybody wants to learn from a teacher and from a textbook. Some people are hands-on like me who want to get practical. And on top of that, some people are quite ambitious. They want to overcome some challenges and have some sort of lore or aura about them and know that, you know what, I studied in Japan or I worked in Japan. And on top of that, I like the Japanese culture of working hard. I like the fact that, I don't know, in Amsterdam I could do or let's say Portugal, I can do a 4-day working week. Not everybody's the same, especially when you're coming to these colleges and universities with international students. People want to keep up their international relations. People want to keep up their rapport with their countries. I think a superpower with my international assignments that some people went out to China, but they are Chinese and speak fluent Chinese. They went to sixth form with Chinese people. I think it's very beneficial because not everybody's going to find their foot in the UK and not everything fits, like not one thing fits everybody. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very beneficial. You learn a lot about yourself. Like you can make friends abroad, you can make more money, make more impact. Some roles aren't even in the UK, and if they are, they're underserved or being replaced by you know what. So, yeah, I think everyone's different. I think they definitely should. I think I spent a lot of years in school knowing that this isn't my way of learning, but I just had to. Let me just get the A star for mum. Let me just get the A for mum. And then when I finally realised, you know, I'm almost an adult, I don't want to go to, you know, sixth form. I don't think you even know, but I didn't even go to sixth form at first, I went to a college.
Oh, is it?
Because I felt like, I need more hands-on time. I need more freedom. I need more say-so in my life. Do you know what I mean? So I went to Woodhouse College in North London. They get A stars, A's. It's sort of like a Brampton Manor, but college.
Yeah.
So, I went there for a few months, but the commute was too much, 2 hours each way every single day.
That's
So
crazy.
I had to call it. But I think, some people want to take control of their
Did
lives.
you went back to Sacred Heart?
Then I went to Sacred Heart,
Yeah.
literally. And then I went to Stack. I literally went to 3 different colleges. Like, you can't just put me into a bracket or a bucket. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like there's lots of people like that. In order to excel, you need to see
You're
yourself
trying to figure out.
rooms.
You're trying to figure out what works for you.
Exactly. Like, I started with maths, physics, economics, dropped economics, maths, physics, chemistry, changed schools, changed teachers.
Yeah.
And then I was like, forget uni now. When I done the
And-
kind of shit.
And long term, do you see yourself still living in the UK, living and working in the UK, or do you see yourself abroad?
That's a good question. I see myself living abroad, but I think it's tough because I'm conflicted in terms of there is some sort of feeling of community, family, and home in the UK. However, I do love being abroad and always pushing myself out there. I think pushing myself out of my comfort zone and creating impact and knowing that I've done something good and substantial today, it drives me to get up every day. So I definitely want to live abroad. There's many countries that I want to go through, but I don't think I want to settle. I think a lot of people want to settle in a school, settle in a degree, or settle in a role. I think there's many places and many different roles that I want to cycle through. For example, like I want to live in Japan for 3 years, 2-3 years, get that stint done. Then somewhere in Europe, like the Netherlands, maybe not Amsterdam, Rotterdam, there's many different places, live there 2-3 years. But I don't want to come and say, I want to stay in Japan for the rest of my life or the UK for the rest of my life. I want to continue learning, striving, growing and developing because the moment you sit still in one place, you become complacent.
That's important, and I think, that conflict of community
It's tough.
is tough.
Yeah.
It's normal, but I think one of the things that's amazing that you was able to showcase, we saw when your mum came to visit and your brother came to visit and how excited they were.
How excited I was. What do you mean?
Yeah,
What?
excited you were as well. But it's like just that opportunity for them. Like, would they have gone to
if I didn't go,
like Japan otherwise? I don't know. When I
be fair,
always say this like in respect to my nan, where my granddad, God rest his soul, he worked as in politics for Congo, so he was part of the embassy, and he would like go out to like different countries or whatever.
Yeah.
Till this day, my nan will tell you the best place she's ever been to in this world is South Korea.
Yeah. Ooh.
Because he was deployed in South Korea.
That's
He
funny.
was stationed there for like 2 years.
That's the one place I turned down actually last year.
This was like donkeys ago.
Yeah.
I think I might have still been in like sixth form
Yeah.
or early uni then. This could have been between like 2008 and 2010.
I think that's
And
a
they were
good
there
point
for,
you
like-
raise because I wonder how he felt himself. He had to be the trailblazer and go out to South Korea by himself and create that home away from home.
Yeah.
I think that's a difficult thing to do.
But that gave her experiences. So when
Yeah,
she talks about,
definitely.
I went to South Korea, then like we was also here, we was also, that's the opportunity that she was able to get from him. And it's the same with you. Like, you go into these countries, it's an opportunity for like family
For
and friends to
others,
be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I ain't never thought about going to China,
Yeah.
let me...
That's definitely a good point. It's something I want to do. Like, I want to be able to live abroad and stay abroad for a few years. But in terms of like, I don't know, predicting and calling out what my life's going to look like, not sure. But I would love to live abroad a few years in different countries. For example, like I said, Japan's definitely top of the list. And then somewhere in Europe is definitely top of the list because I can create these memories and these journeys for my family. It's just, I'm also a human as well. And I would love to come back home and be home. You know what I mean?
When you look back and you think about like younger Mike, like where you are now, is this where you envision yourself to be? And what steps do you think, what were the key steps that took you to where you are now? Because if there's people that, are listening, because, I've got the students who listen in secondary school, in sixth form, in university, they're going to be listening to this and think, you know what, I was on the fence, but the way this guy has spoken about his experiences, like I want to go out and do that. I didn't even know this was an opportunity. I didn't even know,
Yeah.
you know, like people like us can have those experiences.
Yeah.
Like looking back, you know, is this where you would have envisioned yourself being?
Yeah.
And, you know, what some of the key things that sort of took you to where you are now?
Yeah. It's funny because when I was younger, I feel like I always envisioned me being a mechanical engineer or automotive engineer. I've always loved like cars and like how things work, breaking them down, designing them again, building them, testing them, and these systems. And I always thought, you know what, I'm going to be working for like a really big car manufacturer. I don't know, either designing internals or externals, bodywork, I don't know. Whereas where I'm at right now, being a business intelligence analyst, working in the CEO office, is like I'm creating impact. And it's definitely different to what I envisioned when I was younger, because when I was younger, I hadn't had the visibility or the experiences to know, you know what, this might not be what I want. Maybe I need to pivot and change my vision. And along the way, I think what got me to where I am today is probably being adaptable and like reading the room and your surroundings and knowing, you know what, it's okay to pivot and transfer. I feel like when I was younger, it was very normal and standard to say, you know what, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. My mum said I got to go to uni for 8 years, I'm going to get that done, I'm going to stay in this company. Whereas recently I've learned, and I think everybody has learned, things are changing really quick. Situations and conditions are changing really quick. And you staying the same is you being a problem. Me being able to pivot and recognize, you know what, I can generate more value here, I can generate more impact here. And at the end of the day, this wasn't my plan. However, things don't always go to plan, and that's actually okay. Like, because if I'm honest, I'm way happier than if I was still a mechanical engineer. It's funny, when I was doing my degree apprenticeship, I was doing it in mechanical engineering for the first 2 years. Then the second 2 years, you had to specialize, right? And they basically said, okay, Michael, we're going into mechanical. And I expected myself to graduate with a mechanical engineering degree, be a mechanical engineer for 5 years, software engineering for 5 years, finance, go make money. Do you know what I mean? And then I got halfway through my degree apprenticeship, I was like, I don't think it's going to make sense for me to be a mechanical engineer. Like, not to paraphrase, but like in layman's terms, I don't want to be a glorified artist or a glorified mathematician. I want to be somebody who's at the forefront of change and generating like value. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do mechanical engineering. I'm going to shift into software engineering, because at the end of the day, this can be applied to every sort of company, business, system. And everybody needs some sort of software, not just the hardware. And at the end of the day, machines are printing and making these hardware. Where can I pivot and make more value? So I went into software. And then after doing software for a bit and doing data analytics, fell in love with data, fell in love with the insights you can generate, the action plans that come out of them, and then watching those results get generated. I know that, you know what, it was me that spotted that trend and said, let's go that way. So I think being able to pivot at the right time, and quitting isn't the same as quitting whilst you're ahead. Like, that is okay. And at the end of the day, like, your current self, are the driver of your life, not your past self that was young and didn't know, and not your parents either. So yeah, just knowing when to generate impact, value, and moving on is fine. It's totally okay. It's even beneficial. It's the best, really. Like,
that's amazing. And I think, you know, being where you are and you know, having the success that, you know, you've been having and continue to have. Obviously, we know that, you know, not every 2 days the same, and you know, we have difficulties, like we go through stuff. Like, how do you manage like your well-being, like to keep yourself pushing on the days when it's like, damn, like this day's got me, man?
Yeah, that one's rough, to be fair, because if I'm gonna be vulnerable and totally transparent, like, you have to be honest and transparent enough to know, you know what, you're going to sacrifice and be less in certain areas. And I would say I could definitely do with some improvement in that aspect, because everybody suffers from burnout, but it's just about how quick you respond to that and what safety measures you have in place. With me being such a workaholic and my job demanding so much, I like to go to the gym and fitness and family. I think family's first, like I said. Going to see my niece, my nephews, my godsons, my family. I think that's what keeps me going, because on days of burnout where you feel like, you know what, this day's got me, you know what, this stakeholder is jarring, it's just sort of like, actually, Michael, what are you doing this for? Because you need to realise that you're not getting up just for your face card to be valid in the office. You're getting up to provide these opportunities and put the ladder down for the younger generations. Not just people that you do know that's in your family and friends, but people that you don't know that might just see you online. There's this quote that I always live by, and it's like, keep going. You never know who's looking at you for inspiration, sort of thing. And I think that's a big part of me keeping going from the burnout, because burnout's inevitable, I'm not going to lie, especially if you want to generate impact and sort of leave your mark before it's too late. But realizing this isn't just about you, and like, you're not bigger than the program. Like, the program's definitely number one, and number one is, you know, making your mark, putting that ladder down. I think that's what gets me going. Like, I remember having a really bad day in Japan. I was in Tokyo. I didn't want to go into the office, and I was just like, can't be asked, man. This is a whole nother day of me sitting by the window watching the Imperial Palace and on the calls. Like, obviously my manager's in Singapore, she's not even here with me in the office. So on top of me being alone with no friends and family, I've got no direct team.
Well,
like, I'm here with like marketing team, estates, commercial. No one's actually under my same management. And I just felt like, you know what, I'm tired of this imposter syndrome. I don't want to go in. Then I was just sort of like, but this is what we came here for. Like, behind closed doors, you wanted to see that, you know what, I'm going to get tired, but continue working and driving and striving.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you get back and people ask, how was the trip, or how was your business trip, or how was your assignment, you want to say, you know what, throughout everything, I kept going. And that's what's going to put batteries in their back, you know what I mean? And I think that's the key point. It's not just Michael done well in Japan, it's Michael done well, so I need to keep going too.
Yeah.
I think it takes one to make one, and a village is really important. So yeah, like, I don't know. I wanted to call it quits. I'm not going to the office. And I just felt like, you know what about Ezekiel? What about my little brother? When he gives up and he's tired, he's going to remember, nah, everyone ahead of me kept going. You want to be a good example, not just to the people that you do know, but the people that you don't know that might see the videos that you post, might see the articles that you write. They might see your LinkedIn and just think, right, he's still there, he's still going. So yeah, just realizing that it's not just about you. You might be tired, but that person under you might be even more tired.
Yeah.
And there's people in this world that are going through even worse problems and struggling even more. You got to be grateful and actually, you know, like, use everything in front of you. Don't take it for granted, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, on days of feeling burnt out, it's just like, there's much more people than me. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people depending on me, and if not yet, soon. Let's get ready for that.
That's amazing, man, and that's a great place for us to end. You know, it's been insightful, you know, thought provoking, and I think, like, even for me, thinking about my trajectory in terms of my career, like, I'm at a place where, you know, yourself and many others within my field have definitely inspired me to think, actually, do you know what? Like, what opportunities are there for me abroad?
Exactly.
Even if it's to experience something for 2 or 3 years and then come back and just experience a new culture. You know, what does education look like in Qatar, in America, you know, let me experience this, and what can I bring back to, you know, to my community. So that's,
and even
that's
if
very
not,
powerful.
Even if there is nothing, at least you went and found out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
I hate having a big question mark, like, what if, or what's going on. You want to go out and find out yourself, and whether you like it or you don't, at least you know now. Do you know what I mean? And that's a big part of my whole international assignment. I didn't know whether I'd like China. Actually, I was really scared. I didn't want to go in the end, you know.
Yeah.
I remember crying, like, literally breaking down in tears right before my flight, just thinking, you know what, I'm not going to China. Because in China, everybody needs to get a visa to come visit me. It's going to be quite difficult. And I just felt like I'm going to be alone. There's not going to be much community. Where's my friends and family? However, like, at least I went and found out. Do you know what I mean? Go face that challenge. Come home early. That's literally what I told myself. If you don't like it, come home.
Yeah,
I just kept going because there's people under me, behind me that, you know, want to see me do well and want that as inspiration. So
that's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you very much again. So that has been the Too Cool for School podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms.